Happy Halloween, everybody. Live from San Francisco from Studio B. It is show number, what is it, 879, Julia?
Yes.
For Halloween Day. The last day of October, the 31st of October, we'll be on daylight time for next Tuesday, or off daylight time. We'll be back on standard time next Tuesday. Julia,
Yes,
the co-host and Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. I trust you, my dear, are well.
Indeed.
Any hot tips?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll get to those hot tips. I'm your host, Tom Eamon. Thank you for spending a little time with us today on your Friday, or down under, it's Saturday. And welcome to the show that we do every Tuesday and Friday called Sailing Illustrated. The last time it'll be 2000 UTC. It will be 2100 UTC when we fall back on Sunday. So for our next show on Tuesday, thank you for joining us. Here we are at the starting line for a big show. Got a lot on today, and we'll get right to it, Julia. Happy Friday, and happy All Hallows Eve.
Yes.
The evening before All Saints Day.
Mm-hmm.
And Samhain. Do you know what Samhain is?
Samhain?
Samhain is pronounced Samhain.
Don't know.
It's Samhain. Hurricane Melissa, we'll revisit that after Jamaica and Cuba and Haiti. She brushed Bermuda. That hurricane now headed into the North Atlantic. It's probably going to brush Newfoundland a bit and then head over toward you in Europe. We have an extensive FOSI focus today featuring Rick Bannerow, Lily Zhu, Peter Taylor, Peter Stevenson, and more.
Wow.
Coaching Corner, John Emmett. We have two coaching corners from John today, Julia.
That's good.
He is got some breaking news that will run right at the top of the show, and then we'll get into his regular segment. Then the America's Cup 38 madness. We'll get into all that in some detail. We have a couple of one-hereses. Is that the plural of one-heres? Hereses?
I think so.
One-hereses for you.
Hearsays.
Hearsays. We have some one-heres that... no surprise, really, no big deal, but what a madness. The thing's falling apart right before our eyes. Special Halloween America's Cup History Challenge from our Super Fuzzy Ed Worley. Staying with our Halloween theme, we'll have winners and the loser of the week. I can't even call him the crouton. He's just the loser of the week.
Yes.
And a nice video from John Rogers down at San Diego Yacht Club. Coach John has sent in a video. And of course, Day in History, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and of course, our fantastic FOSI, Julia. Any other things to bring for the edification of our FOSI before we get going here?
I think not. We're poised for Halloween.
We are, you promise?
Yes.
Beautiful purple and blue and...
Stained glass.
Stained glass. Is that what that's called? Stained glass dress?
Colors.
Okay, let's get to the breaking news before we get into our regular show. First, the ILCA withdrew the approval of Performance Sailcraft Australia. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That was some weeks ago. And then the International Laser Class Association announced that this was 2 months ago, that it had withdrawn its builder approval of longstanding classy builder Performance Sailcraft Australia. In its statement, the class has not made any specific comment on the reasons for the withdrawal. Breaking news.
Wow.
PSA today from Australia announced that they have been reinstated as an ILCA builder, effective immediately, because yesterday in New Zealand, and I'm not sure why, I've tried to find out, but so far it's not clear to me. The High Court of New Zealand made orders that pending further order of that court, ILCA may not take any steps to implement its purported termination of its agreement with PSA, and they must reinstate PSA, Performance Sailcraft Australia, to its list of approved builders.
Okay.
And the court also ordered that ILCA issue this statement, which they finally did earlier today, and that confirms what the court said. Approval of Performance Sailcraft Australia reinstated, pending a court's final decision, so this is still ongoing. The International Laser Class Association's 27 August 2025 termination of its 2024 agreement with Performance Sailcraft Australia, the court has prohibited ILCA from taking any steps to implement that termination.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So pending that decision, PSA continues as an ILCA-approved builder under the ILCA class rules. ILCA's 28 August 2025, 2 months ago, announcement to the contrary is to be disregarded, Julia, and that is this court-ordered statement from the, I'm not sure why it's a New Zealand court, but it has been issued by the High Court in New Zealand. And our intrepid ILCA reporter and more, John Emmett, has checked in with a last-minute report bringing us up to speed on what he knows.
Oh, good.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Just what you weren't expecting, a second John Emmett's Coaching Corner. And the reason I thought I'd better do this is there's been some breaking news. Now, of course, things will become clearer with time, but it looks like there was a court case in New Zealand, which happened on the 30th of October, and you can guess what it's going to be about. No, not the AC. It's about the ILCA and the ILCA design rights. And it looks like PSA is now probably going to be a officially recognised dealer once again. I say lots more to come on this story, but you know, Sailing Illustrated, it's a news show, and this is definitely news. So I wanted to, you know, bring the heads up, and I think there's going to be a lot more detail coming out probably before the show, but I'm not going to leave it too late to record this, just to make sure I'm properly in focus. But the bigger picture for me, and this is regardless of club, class, M&A or a particular regatta, is about all working together to do what's best for sailors, because all the energy, if you like, fighting, I said 2025 being the year of the lawyer, could be spent doing more productive tasks. So obviously the ILCA, as a hugely popular boat all around the world, is a very good example of where there's been a few issues. But any class, any club, just remember, we all want the best thing, which is more participation for sailing. And actually, in terms of media, we want to try and drive more media, showcasing more participation of sailing, and so on and so forth. But that's your breaking news. And I'm sure Tom will have done his research and maybe have to cover a little bit more now or in the later shows. Can't really do the update on Para because I've actually recorded this before the team's meeting, which I'm just going to run off to a hotel to listen to. But if you want to help with Para, one of the most useful things you can do is help someone in your country get to Oman so they can compete. And if you already have stuff in your country, let's get it documented. And that's it. 2 John Emmett Coaching Corners, you unfortunate things. Bye for now.
So we'll get back to his regular reportage, which I have in the normal segment. But we should catch up now, Julie, with a Fozy. John and Sangmeister saying, make lasers great again, reading from the bottom up, as I often do.
Yes.
Fog Machine, a.k.a. Lance Burke, here at the St. Francis Yacht Club, our neighbor and good friend, says, I didn't know the ILCAs were so ill. Greg Norman says, ILCA has to pay the PSA legal fees according to PSA ownership. We just chatted with PSA. Yeah, it sounds, as Clark Chapin said, Greg Norman, that it sounds like a TRO, a temporary restraining order. It sounds like the court ordering some action so that PSA does not have more harm to them until there's a fuller decision. So we'll see how this all comes out. Peter Stevenson, I have no idea why it's the High Court in New Zealand, not in Australia or not in the U.S., where ILCA is headquartered, I believe, in Austin, Texas. Dolly Devola is saying hello, G'day from the land down under. Christopher Gillingham, happy Halloween as we go up to the top. Hi from spooky Miami where the weather is glorious. John doesn't like the loser of the week feature. Well, don't worry, we're not talking about any serious sailors in that. We can call them crouton of the week, but whatever you want, John. I'm going to go with winners and losers of the week. Fritz Mueller, for those who know well the laser class, international status, back down at the bottom, was questionable from the get-go with regard to measurement problems in production. It got even more so when they provided deck patches for blown out mast steps. All boats should be required to measure within class rules. A single builder production class on only multiplies the errors. Yeah, quite agree. But at least the class is owner-driver driven, Julia. We keep saying, like the Finn class, the Star class, and some of these other fabulous classes.
Yes.
And at least the laser class is that. And That's why they continue to enjoy such great worldwide success after 50 years.
Yes, and they should.
And they should. Exactly right. Hamish Ross saying good morning from November, where it is November the 1st, down under on their Saturday in New Zealand and Australia. Thank you, John Emmett, for that report. And let's carry on here. We'll get to our regularly scheduled programming just to catch up on Tuesday morning's hurricane. We told you Tuesday about Hurricane Melissa's well-developed eye, thanks to our weather guru, Mark Michelson, who sent us that image. Astonishing Category 5, 180 to 220 mile per hour winds as it hit Jamaica as we were on the air on Tuesday.
Right.
Man, that was bad. And of course, Jamaica has been badly, sorely hurt. And several of you commented it's in the Jamaica course taking the northeastern quadrant of that hurricane, which is the worst quadrant of any storm in the northern hemisphere, at least. After Jamaica, it went through Cuba, the eastern end of Cuba and Haiti a bit, and then has gone into the North Atlantic by now. It's up where that yellow dot is. It just grazed Bermuda. There's Bermuda. You can see a little speck there. That's BDA or BER if you like the Olympic code. And it's headed up to apparently to graze also St. John's in Newfoundland, and then to go visit you all in Europe this coming weekend.
Wow.
So it was good riddance to Melissa. Glad she did not touch the east coast of the U.S. and other than Cuba and Jamaica, it's and Haiti, of course. It looks like we escaped the worst of it here on at least the U.S. mainland, and as did Bermuda, of course. Okay, Julia.
Sir.
No more hurricanes expected in the next 7 days and perhaps beyond. Maybe we're through the hurricane season now. But we're not through the America's Cup season. The nice Halloween. Thank you for all your kind comments about this promo slide I put up yesterday afternoon. Bats in their belfry, I said. Some people have got bats in their belfry, the people that are promulgating this America's Cup partnership.
Yes.
Yeah, poor Jamaica. They really did take it in the shorts, Steve Gruber. You are absolutely right. Ryman's wishing us a happy Halloween from Cape Town. Hello, Ted. Nice to have you with us as well. Julia?
Sir.
What are we celebrating today? Do you recognize that in the graphic? That's the original Halloween.
Aha.
The original Halloween is called Samhain, or even Salvan originally, because it's Celtic. It's originated up in Scotland or Ireland and that part of Britain. And it is a Gaelic holiday that's pronounced Samhain. That's how you pronounce that. Samhain, Samhain.
Yeah.
And of course, we call it now in the modern day Halloween. That Samhain goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years. Get ready for a spooky good time this Halloween today here in the States and in Europe at least. Dress up in your favorite costume and indulge in sweet treats, creepy decorations, and thrilling scares. Don't miss out on the fun. But back to this Gaelic festival of Samhain, which marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. Again, hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. The Celts believed that on the night of Samhain, the boundary between the living and the dead became blurred. I think that's carried over to Halloween, hasn't it?
Right.
And the spirits of the dead were able to return, if only briefly, to the mortal world. To ward off these malevolent spirits, the Celts would light bonfires, wear masks and costumes, and offer sacrifices to their gods. Hence, Julia,
Yes.
those traditions that have carried over to modern day Halloween, or so
Right.
I learned when I was preparing this segment. As Christianity spread through Europe, the Catholic Church incorporated many, they always grab pagan holidays to make them their own, right?
Right. And they get better participation.
Exactly. They incorporated many of these pagan traditions into their own celebrations. For example, November 1st was declared All Saints' Day, which originally was in May, a day to honor all of the saints, and October 31st was designated as All Hallows' Eve, a time to remember the dead. Dia del Muerto in Mexico and some other
Right.
Latin countries. These celebrations eventually evolved into the modern holiday of Halloween, which is now celebrated in many countries around the world.
And it is.
And here's the video.
When most people think of Halloween, they think of trick-or-treating, parades, bobbing for apples, and other family-friendly activities. But bet you didn't know the true story behind the ancient origins of Halloween. It all goes back some 2,000 years to the ancient Celtic festival known as Samhain, celebrated on November 1st. On the night before Samhain, people believed that the dead returned as ghosts. They would leave food and wine on their doorsteps to keep roaming spirits at bay, and wear masks when they left the house so they would be mistaken for fellow ghosts. The Christian church turned Samhain into All Saints' Day, or All Hallows, in the 8th century. The night before became All Hallows' Eve, later shortened to Halloween. You've heard of trick-or-treating on Halloween, but what about souling or guising? All three of these traditions originated in medieval Britain. On All Souls' Day, November 2nd, the needy would beg for pastries known as soul cakes. In return, they would pray for people's dead relatives. This was called souling. In the medieval Halloween tradition of guising, young people would dress up in costume and accept food, wine, money, and other offerings in exchange for singing, reciting poetry, or telling jokes. In 19th century America, Irish and Scottish immigrants revived these old traditions. The result was trick-or-treating. At first, it was much more about the tricks, in the form of pranks and hijinks, than the treats. It wasn't until the 1950s that the custom took on its current family-friendly, kid-centered form. Today, Halloween is big business, with U.S. consumers spending more than $2.5 billion on costumes annually. Add in the candy, and it's estimated that Americans spend up to $6 billion on Halloween each year, making it the second most commercial holiday after Christmas. So whether you're a fan of tricks, treats, or trivia, there's a bit of Halloween history. We bet you didn't know!
That's good.
If you only knew how many videos I searched through last night
Oh,
to
I
try
bet.
to find one that, was kind of upbeat. And,
Yeah.
But thank God for YouTube. YouTube is just fabulous.
Yes.
You can learn to do just about anything. Maybe not, open heart surgery or brain surgery or even, but you can learn how to live stream a show like this.
Yes.
And you know from whom? The houses of worship. Because during the pandemic, they all started streaming to keep their flocks involved. And that's how I learned how to live stream, was from the houses of worship and the gamers. But back to Halloween, what a fabulous video.
Yes.
And I had no idea about a lot of those traditions, history and traditions.
Oh, I didn't necessarily consider it Celtic.
And of course, they have the Melbourne Cup, as Chris Fury is reminding us, down in Melbourne. We have 4 days off for a 3-minute horse race.
Mm-hmm.
And Jody Shields says, yes, I agree. RedTube is, predecessor. RedTube is great. So I look at a lot of YouTube. In fact, I look at way more YouTube videos than I do television these days.
Yeah.
I'll spend my Saturday mornings at what I call YouTube University.
Yes.
Learning things.
Yeah, I'm spending more time there too.
Good stuff. Okay, well, happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you enjoyed a little bit about those histories and traditions. And here's the much promised Fozzie. These are very popular. I get a lot of comments back from people, and I'm going to run more of these. If you will keep making your submissions, thank you very much.
Right.
For Fozzie Focus, the Foxtrot, the FF, that's what those flags are, Julia.
Right.
Fozzie, Foci, would that be the plural of focus? Focuses? Foci?
Yeah, Foci.
I have no idea. The first one comes from Barcelona. Do you recognize those gentlemen, Julia?
Indeed.
That is from earlier this week. That's our super Fozzie, John Sangmeister, and his youngest son, William, the three Sangmeister boys. William is spending a term at UAP, or AUP, American University Paris in Paris. And they had parents' weekend, so I think John and Sarah flew over, picked him up, and went down to Madrid, went down to Barcelona, and had a quick look around various places, and stopped in at the Alinghi base and took this photo, and he said it's all locked up tighter than a proverbial drum. I was going to say witch is something, but I don't, in honor of Halloween, but I don't think that's appropriate.
No.
And a nice photo indeed. They met up with Gerardo Seeliger, another Fozy. Gerardo.
It would have been fun to be at that table.
Oh, they had a blast, and they ate at the oldest, reported to be the oldest restaurant in the world in Old Town in Barcelona. I thought it was in Madrid was the oldest restaurant, but whatever.
Yeah.
They had a fabulous meal, a lot of fun with Gerardo, and of course the dinner started at about 12:30
Of course.
at night. And they're back now in the U.S. of A., or at least John and Sarah are, and William's back up at American University Paris for the rest of this term. By the way, thanks to another Fozy, Bruno Troublé,
Yes.
whom I put them in touch with, Bruno arranged for them to eat at Yacht Club de Paris when they first got to Paris, had a nice lunch or dinner there, and in walked the vice commodore of the club while they were there. And I don't know if Bruno teed that up or if he just walked in coincidentally.
Yeah.
Extended a warm welcome of his to the Sangmeister family. Invited William to go sail with him on his yacht in some kind of a
Wow.
race on the Med, and paid for the dinner.
Oh,
Said, no, we'll take care of this. So they had a great time.
Oh,
Thanks
nice.
to the Fozy connection around the world,
yes.
both Gerardo Seeliger and, in this case, Bruno Troublé, extending the hand of hospitality. How was that?
Perfect.
I just came up with that just now. I'm not sure it was very clever. I guess that's a selfie photo. I don't think Sarah took that. John looks like he's got his arms extended out. Earlier this week, John and William in BCN at the, not abandoned, but look at that. It's a very smart-looking base.
Yes.
Not to be used again because Barcelona did not want the cup back. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the cup in 2013?
San Francisco.
Did San Francisco want it back? Not bad enough because they wouldn't really pony up with any money, any support. So Larry and Russell took it to Bermuda, sadly.
Yes.
And then did Bermuda want it back? Apparently not. Of course, it changed. New Zealand won the cup in Bermuda, took it to Auckland properly.
Yes.
That's where the cup should have been and still should be.
Right.
And they had a nice, great event in Auckland in 2021.
Yes.
And then Mr. Dalton decided to take it offshore because apparently he couldn't get enough support from the locals. So he took it to BCN, Barcelona in 2024. And after one hosting of the event, they decided they didn't want it again, Julia.
Right.
So where did it go? Apparently Naples and the Ring of Fire and the volcanic action there. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But this is our Halloween America's Cup show. That's in their belfry. Continuing on with our Fozy focus, as I promised some others, there is the October cover of Windcheck magazine, the fantastic East Coast publication. It's been out for most of the month, in fact, all of the month. On the cover, skipper Will Graves of Norotan Yacht Club leaping the waves in a Viper 293, or number 293, sail number 293, on western Long Island Sound during the last day of the 2021 Viper 640 North Americans, hosted by Norotan. Sporty conditions indeed. You see right at the very bottom who gets the photo credit?
Of course.
Our very own Rick Bannerow. Another super Fozy. He gets yet another Windcheck cover. It's something like, I don't know, 900 of the last 950 covers he's had. No, it's 20 of the last 22. Or I can't remember. But bravo Zulu to Rick. Bravo Zulu indeed. And here is my favorite photo from Rick of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't submit to the Pantanius photo. But you know who's on that? Claire Harrington is on that panel to judge. And that's coming up here in the next few days, those photos of the year. But this is my favorite Bannerow photo, and that's from last month's the 6 Meter Worlds at Sewanaka Corinthian Yacht Club. His Majesty King Juan Carlos, who won the Classic Division. And I really like, they built him what looks like a settee. It looks like a love seat here in the back of the boat. Very comfortable accommodation.
As they would.
As you should, right? When you got the king and his boat, Bribon. Nice photo, Rick Bannerow. Thank you indeed for your coverage, and also Peter Taylor, who sent some photos as well. I think Larry Kennedy did too. Great boat, the Viper, Alan Long says. Ricky B, well done. Clay Embley agreeing. Clark Chapin, kind of like how most venues, LA accepted, don't want to do the Olympics again.
Yeah. They should take lessons from the last Long Beach.
Well, that's another issue. Los Caracoles, amazing old restaurant is the oldest, according to Dolly DeVola. I wonder if that's the next. Sangmeister's on here, so he may know the name. I'm sure he will remember the name of the place, so let's see what he says. But carrying on with our foci,
Yes.
I'm being careful not to say anything else. Larry Kennedy says the 6 meters were great, and he was, I think he was a bimbo for that. He was setting marks as well. There is, as we told you on Tuesday, the Yacht Club Argentino, Desde, the Spanish word from 1883, and they are hosting this week the J70 Worlds. Yesterday, Thursday, was day 3. The regatta wraps up tomorrow, Saturday, and it's been a roller coaster close affair at the J70 Worlds. It started to settle a bit yesterday as the discard race came into effect, and now 6 races have been scored. The day began as a light air affair, yada, yada. I don't care about the weather. No, everybody talks about the weather and doesn't do anything about it, and they lead their press releases with weather.
I know.
Laura Grandin of the U.S., the esteemed, she was nominated last year for Yacht's Woman of the Year. And I'm on that panel that at least I have been.
Right.
I haven't heard from them this year. They probably, U.S. Sailing probably, well, we'll see. I'm happy to participate. I used to chair that a long time ago, 40 years ago. Laura Grandin's Dark Energy USA returned to the top of the leaderboard yesterday, able to toss a prior 40th and land at 37 net points just after the halfway point of the championship. Geraldo Solberg's Viking Ocean Pack from Brazil moved into the runner-up position, only 2 points behind. There is Laura, and do you recognize this gentleman who is trimming and calling tactics, trimming main for her, and has been?
No.
That is Taylor Canfield. He says with her a lot.
I wouldn't recognize him.
So the results after yesterday's racing, it's going on as we speak. They're, 3 or 4 hours ahead of us, aren't they, in Argentina? I believe. Laura is in first after yesterday's racing, and she's got Taylor, Ian Liberty, Edward Hackney with her, and just 2 points behind them is the Brazilian team, Viking Ocean Pack, Geraldo Solberg's team. Peter Duncan here of the U.S. Is in third. He's got a great team with him. And you cannot drive as a pro, and that's why you see a lot of pros crewing. You cannot drive as a pro unless you own the boat. Then you can drive. And they still have the good thing the J70 class does, they still, Julia, have a Corinthian trophy for the top finishing Corinthian.
That is good.
Skipper, which is, I think, good stuff. Travis Odenbach, the Odenbach family from Rochester, I've known for years and years. He's in fourth, and Bruno Bethlehem from Brazil in fifth. Clark Chapin is saying after today, Laura is in fourth and the Brazilians are in first. Matthias Collins, who hangs out at least a good bit of the time in South America, is saying Laura is now in fourth, as did Chris Exley. They're all watching the standings. And Gordon Smith, I don't know what he's talking about, an old place in Jerusalem, apparently ate at. Tom, can you give a Bravo Zulu to Dolly for his great? Yeah, I will. I'll do that right now. Jody Shields is saying in the chat, Julia, as we get older and as we have a lot of seniors
Yes.
as FOSI and in our regular audience, Dolly DeVola has had a very good report from his oncologist I saw on Facebook this morning, so he's doing well.
Perfect. Good.
And J. Frederick Bland is hanging in there. He's had a tough go, and he seems to be doing well, and others.
Yes.
We're getting good reports from a lot of people.
And we'd like to know about that so we can keep in touch with them.
Well, exactly. And we're wishing everybody great health the rest of this year and going into next and beyond. But speaking of FOSI, we have another FOSI checking in from the J70 Worlds who issued this report this morning.
Wow.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and FOSI friends.
Look.
Greetings from Buenos Aires. I'm here for the J70 Open World Championship, and tomorrow the 2025 World Champion will be crowned for the J70 class. And this time we have 71 boats from 16 nations. And I'm joining a local family. Hello. This is Goofy, our trimmer. And yeah, thanks to Franco, who's also the Yoka Master World Champion, racing together with John and Matt, letting me to drive this boat. Oh, by the way, the J70 class rule is pro can only drive if you own the boat. So most pro are doing main trimmer, like Taylor Canfield, GP USA driver skipper, is also the tactician main trimmer on board Dark Energy, who's currently leading the fleet. And also we have Olympic champion Will Run from Australia in the 470 class. Many other Olympic sailors I've bumped into here. And yeah, since now I'm amateur, category 1, so I could drive a boat that I don't own. And if you know any boat looking for a driver, main trimmer, tactician, let me know. I'm looking for more sailing opportunity, whether that's on J70 or any other keel boat. And conditions so far brilliant, from light, medium to strong wind, but I found really challenging to sail here on La Plata. This is the widest river in the world, and the chop is just super tricky, steep, quite big, so very bumpy upwind, but still a lot of fun surfing downwind. And J70 is a great boat, very responsive and weight sensitive, so if all the crew can work together well, then it's really rewarding. So fun boat, couldn't have recommended more, and looking forward to do more J70 and other boat sailing. Bye for now.
Fabulous.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
She is, isn't she?
Yes, absolutely.
And everybody's saying so in the chat. John, you must be very proud. That's what Ryman said. That, of course, is John Emmett's wife. But I want you to look at something here, Julia. Do you see that she is up there in a PIP, picture-in-picture in the upper left corner?
Yeah.
On the new iPhones, in iOS 26, I believe it is. I think this is a feature of both iOS 26, but you have to have the right iPhone as well.
Yeah.
And my new iPhone, I've noticed, I haven't used it yet. I mean, I've used the phone, but I haven't used that feature. This iPhone allows you to do what Lily did with that video. You can both shoot with the front camera on you and the back camera on the scene. And you see, that's what she's doing. She had that and panned it around and looked at various other, the whole wide pan from left to right, the guy in the boat with whom she's sailing. And all the time she's featured in the PIP, in the picture-in-picture, on the front camera. What you normally think of as, as the selfie camera on the phone. And it's an amazingly good feature.
It is.
Bravo Zulu. She's figured it out, obviously. Yes, she has a brand new iPhone, Emmett's confirming. And Steve Gruber is reminding us that Lily is not John's wife. John is Lily's husband. Regardless, a great report from today, from this morning, I believe, down there in BA at the J70 World. She's sailing, not doing fabulous. She's down in the cheap seats. I did look at her results, and I believe it's her first time in a J70, too. Yeah. The widest river in the world. Thank you, Lily. Golden Lily. Ligia, Lily Zhu, from China originally, and now living in the UK with her husband, John. Now, Julia, this is the next Fozy contribution for today's show. Does anyone here recognize that lighthouse?
No.
I just wonder. Yeah, Fog Machine saying the phone can also do landscape mode when you're holding it in upright, which is, for me, is a godsend. Exactly. Does this help? There is the same lighthouse, but a looser shot. Chile, Gordon Smith is wondering if that is Chile. And indeed, Gordon Smith, you, sir, are right.
Oh, good.
That is Matthias Collins in J70 in ideal conditions. It takes 6 hours sailing with a Jenniker until you reach Uruguay. That is
Yes.
the Cabo de Hornos.
Aha.
Fog Machine got it. Yes, it's Cape Horn. Clark Chapin got it. And that is where our Fozy Peter Taylor and Sandy are just, I believe they're there, maybe have left by now, but they've traversed through the channel, and they were at Beagle Channel in Ushuaia and then at Puerto Williams earlier this week, and sent through some photos from what they say is the southernmost sailing facility in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is that passage, and that is Puerto Williams de Chile, where the little red dot is. And I had to check to be sure I didn't insult Ted Ryman. I couldn't remember, but I wasn't sure if Cape Horn was the southernmost cape, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
Located at roughly 56 degrees south. It is one of the southernmost points in South America and marks a highly dangerous passage, as we all know, for ships and yachts and so on. Ted Ryman's Cape of Good Hope in southern Africa is located at roughly 34 south, so it's it is 20 degrees further north.
Yes.
It was historically a significant waypoint for ships traveling to the East Indies, as you all know. Peter and Sandy sent through these fabulous photos.
I was going to say that. Oh, what a good
Isn't
picture.
that nice?
Yeah.
And he says in an email, he says one of the most, and they have a Starlink on the ship that they're on, so he was able to send these through in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
One of the most southern recreational sailing spots in the world. Lasers going out for sale on Beagle Channel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Beagle Channel's named after
The ship.
the ship Beagle, and who was on that ship? Come on. Puerto Williams de Chile is where this was taken. There's some lasers. There's a little sailing school there and a little sailing company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are Ilkas in the shot, Gordon Smith, indeed. And this is the sailing school, Cabo de Hornos, Cape Horn Sailing School at Puerto Williams. Sedania, I guess there's probably a tilde over that end. I don't know.
Yeah.
Captain Cook's boat, Charles Darwin.
Oh, yeah.
Charles Darwin, yes. And there they are, some more laser, some Ilka sailing. And this, there is a club down there and a sailing school. This may be the southernmost sailing facility in the world.
When I was there, I discovered an incredible thing, and that is that the point,
The Cape?
The Cape has the longest growing hours of any place, and the maybe and on the
You want to keep going?
yeah.
I told her before the show, if you haven't rehearsed it, don't go with it.
Yeah, that's right, and it's true. But
Look at, hang on, Julie, you're saved by a comment. Sean Caraca, Eamon is a typical of an old boy afraid of change. The issue is the America's Cup is a billionaire's plaything and was never going to be a sustainable model. Why? Okay, well, let's read this.
all right,
It cuts out those, why? Because one, it cuts out those nations like NZ who don't have any billionaires. Oh, NZ's had no problem competing and winning the cup. This Sean, whoever Sean Caraca is. But are perfectly capable of being competitive without one. Americans would just say, well, we have plenty of billionaires, so just find one. And two, because billionaires get sick of getting their asses handed to them by teams. A lot of billionaires have won, too, Sean. I don't know Sean Caraca. By teams with half the budget that they themselves have blown on an AC campaign. Team New Zealand won the AC the right way. They beat Ellison and the GGYC by defeating every challenger and then demolishing the defender in Bermuda. If America wants the bill, they didn't exactly demolish, but they won fair and square. If America wants the billionaire model back, all America has to do is beat Team New Zealand. Until then, to the winner go the spoils. Well, Sean, I'm sorry, you're absolutely way off base, and I think most people would agree that you are, but I appreciate your comment and respect your viewpoint very much, and we'll talk some more about your viewpoint and others as we go forward in this show. So that's wrapping up. That's a bit of a not a segue. Beautiful. Lasers can't stand Ilka. Yeah, Larry Kennedy agree. The USA has the most billionaires, John Emmett is saying, but we'll get back to the Billionaire Boys Cup in a minute. Thanks to Peter Taylor for that. And then this photo, I don't believe it was taken by Magnus the Magnificent, but Magnus Wheatley sent this photo through, which is by way of a nice introduction to this final FOSI segment, or second to last segment, penultimate segment. Australia KA5 is an Australian 12-meter racing yacht that twice, this is Wikipedia, twice challenged unsuccessfully for the America's Cup in 77 and 80. Designed by Ben Lexon in association with Dutch designer Johan Valentine for Alan Bond, Australia failed to win a single race against the 77 defender Courageous, but won one race against the 1980 defender Freedom, US 30. Remember that 4-1 in 1980, my first Cup. Australia resides in Sydney, Australia, owned now by a FOSI, Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. And yes, that boat is there in Sydney. It looks like it needs a bottom job, Peter, but Peter's been occupied with other things. He's done his sojourn through Europe, and he is about to announce further developments in his program, a great program, Julia, to use that yacht for disabled veterans and others. And he's raising money, and he's going to come back on the show and give us the update on all of that. But in the meantime, we thought you should see that because he's doing another cool thing. He has put on the boom, where the boat's out at the mooring, Paralympic sailing, back the bid, Brisbane 2032.
Lovely.
We've been talking about that for weeks, months, in fact, since January, most of this year. So he's helping to put the big push on about getting sailing back into the Paralympics in Brisbane. Nicely done, Peter Stevenson. Thank you for that. And others are taking his Facebook post. Bannero did one this morning. Here is an easy ask. Please share this and support the push to have sailing return to the Paralympic Games in Australia in 2032. This is the first window of opportunity given the 2028 Games closed. And this coming year is when decisions for inclusion for 2032 will be brought to the table. Well, at least as a demonstration event. 2032 is also closed as a regular event for Paralympics. But please back the bid to return sailing to the Paralympics. And I've seen several others have also posted to their Facebook page today this same sentiment, or they've shared Rick's. So bravo Zulu, Peter Stevenson, and all the rest of you who are sharing that good stuff.
Indeed.
Finally, we have the volunteer of the week, another FOSI. This guy does more for our sport as a bimbo. Now, Trump calls it the big, beautiful bill or the big, beautiful ballroom. I'm calling Larry the big, beautiful bimbo. Larry Kennedy, a regular he's on here again today. He is the volunteer of the week without question. This photo from Peter Taylor, and I just grabbed it and ran it, because he keeps coming up he's probably in the financial district in New York City working today, but maybe not. Maybe he's taking the day off. He's on here watching. I've gotten to know his son, Colin, in the middle, because Colin, like his dad, is a big, beautiful volunteer. He is a key member of our Gov Cup TV team. This photo I think I took this photo in July, aboard Adios, our broadcast boat, and that on the left is Hayden Wolk, the bride, new wife of Tyler Wolk, another FOSI, longtime friend, that from Governor's Cup this summer. And from 2022, this photo, photo of Larry and myself, obviously, at the America's Cup Hall of Fame inductions 2020. That's when Dawn Riley was inducted into the Hall of Fame at 44th Street at New York Yacht Club, as was Kayard, was inducted along with a couple others, Jimmy Spithill, on a Thursday before last, 2 Thursdays ago yesterday. On the 16th of October, Kayard was giving his acceptance speech in this photo at the America's Cup Hall of Fame. And I'm pleased to report again, confirm that Paul will be coming on live next Tuesday, Election Day, Tuesday the 4th of November, here on Sailing Illustrated. We're going to talk about the Star Class, of which he is president, the Star Worlds, which he has just won, America One Racing, which is coming to the fore again in a big way to help our American sailors and their Olympic efforts. The America's Cup Hall of Fame induction, and indeed the America's Cup itself. So we're looking forward to having KR on next Tuesday when we will be back on Pacific Standard Time. On Sunday, we fall back 1 hour. We go off daylight time. We go off summertime. Next Tuesday, we still will go live at 1300, but please note it is Pacific Standard Time, which is 2100 UTC, not 2000 UTC for this. So we're closer to you down under. We're only 3 hours to Auckland next week and only 5 hours to Sydney. And Europe has been off daylight time now for a week. And we'll go back to the usual 8 hours to London, 9 hours to the continent, yada, yada, yada. Lock the clock. Okay, there I said it. If you're having a drinking game to see when I say it, we should lock the clock. It just is so maddening. And let the states here in the U.S. decide whether they want to stay on daylight time or go to standard time year round. But most people agree we should lock the clock. But Julia, most people can't agree on whether it should be daylight time
Yes.
or standard time.
Yes.
That's an anachronism from World War I.
Mhm.
Now, I'd tell you for $12, it frustrates me so much. I spent $12 on a clock. I should have brought it in here from Amazon.
Yeah.
Just it's a bedside clock.
Yeah.
I spent $12 to get a new one because it has a button on it that it's the DST, the daylight savings time. You push the button in the spring and it automatically goes forward an hour.
Yes.
And on Sunday, I will push that button again and it will go back an hour. You don't have to sit there and fiddle fart around and reset the clock. And
The clock should be set automatically on your car.
well, your car doesn't. My car clock doesn't automatically. I have to reset I just leave it the same year round because I never look at that. But all the other computer clocks reset automatically. Your clocks here, over there, and so on. But lock the clock. Okay.
Yes.
But next Tuesday, gang, we will be on standard time. So please take note of that in your local time zone. John Emmett with his first report, which turned into his second report in the coaching corner, our super fuzzy John Emmett from Great Britain, checking in about a lot of different things, including Paralympic sailing.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Quick reminder for the folks at home, if you haven't done so already, please like, share, subscribe, and get those comments ready. So first of all, hopefully I'm in focus again. I think we sometimes learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. And I think the camera just doesn't like to recognize me unless I give it a good wave beforehand. So hopefully I'm going to remember that. And I'm very old school in some things in my thinking. And the good example with failure is sometimes you have to fail quite badly to want to succeed or be able to make that move to success. And I'll give you a good example, which I try to break down, into 30 seconds in a reel. But if you need to walk somewhere and it's going to take you, half an hour, maybe you give yourself half an hour and you just fail and you're late and you miss an appointment. But if it's going to take you 45 minutes and you've only got half an hour, well, then actually you might think, crikey, I need to get on my bike, which is a different mode, or get on my car, different mode. And then actually you definitely make your appointment. But if you're really close, sometimes you won't make the necessary change. When you know that you're definitely going to fail the way you're continuing, well, then you're going to make that change. And I do wonder if this is going to be applicable to sailing in the long term. But it's really interesting, I said, when I do these short videos, trying to break down those big concepts into bite-sized pieces. So do give us some general comments, not only about the Coaching Corner, but about all the media stuff we're doing. Because for me, that's what's going to save the sport, not changing the format, or even changing the classes, particularly, and all the rest of it, but just communicating to everybody what a wonderful sport we have. And of course, chatting to the Fozy. I know I'm preaching to the choir, or whatever your expression is in your country, but we need to make it exciting to a wider audience, because also hopefully that encourages more people to sail. And talking of encouraging people, I think there's about 400 delegates going to World Sailing Conference. In fact, one of the frustration is I think there's only about 250 places for the big dinner, and there's a lot of people who like to be there on the 5th, so I'm very glad Lily didn't give up my seat. And I say I'm quite old school. I think face-to-face meetings are really important. I think it's the first time I've been in a suit since my wedding, so I'm a little bit nervous about how you do a bow tie more than anything else. But I do feel these face-to-face reactions are very important, interactions rather, and that's something which we lost in the pandemic and has probably been a little bit slow coming back. And I just think it's such an important thing to take advantage of everybody being in the same place. So hopefully next week there'll be, lots of positive news. I won't talk too much about the power because at the moment of recording this, some things are still up in the air. What I would say is next week I'm hoping to do a series of power interviews, and I'll give you a friendly reminder next week, but please do share that feed because it's so hard to raise the awareness for parasailing, and it's something I really, really want to do. But yeah, so anyone who's at the conference, please do reach out. It'd be so nice to meet up with as many people as possible. And some people, I mean, wow, I've known them for such a long time, but possibly never even met face to face. So really looking forward to that opportunity. And with that note, I have a dog sniffing my my leg. I don't think you can see him, he's just off camera. So I'm going to say goodbye and hopefully catch you on the show.
I hope the dog doesn't think John's a fire hydrant.
I know.
Julia.
I know. I was thinking the same
You were
thing.
nodding your head yes, saying I agree with John that since the pandemic, people have gotten
Yes.
used to doing Zoom calls.
I think I've always said that we should have small dinners with our legislators.
Legislators. How about with a Fozy? If you were going to the Dunleary for the World Sailing Meeting,
Right.
John and the two Andrews, I think, are trying to put together a piss up or a beer or a coffee or something. I know they were trying to get a table too, but as John said, they're running this thing in too small a hall, and the tickets have been sold out, and they can't get to go. This is the Tuesday night dinner for Rolex Yachtswoman and Yachtsman of the Year and so on. So.
And there's no other place to do it.
Well, apparently there's no other place to do it. Thank you, John Emmett, for that report. Crikey, we might call it the Coaching Crikey Corner or the Crikey Coaching Corner.
Yeah.
Sometimes the opposite is true. If we have success due to luck or good fortune, we overlook the bad habits that weren't sufficient to lead to defeat. Man, oh man. Honest question, David James is asking, for those who despair at U.S. Sailing and ISAF, do you know who your delegate is to your regional YRA and thus to your national authority and thus to ISAF to represent your thoughts? Well, you'd better off just going, David, to the Andrews or John or anyone else who's going to be in attendance. John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet, our regular submission from John. Does it every show. With great reliability, and today we had two. So thank you, John, for that. Yes. And we always remind it. He's coming up, by the way. I can't remember the date now, but in the next 2 weeks, he's got another panel on Paralympic sailing with a couple of superstars coming on.
Great.
We'll tell you about that, too. The Andrews are Gordon Smith. Yeah, there was a big chat this morning since the Andrew, formerly known as Prince, has been defrocked. The Andrews are now known as George and Mac. They don't want to be called Andrew. That's Pindar's real name. First name is George, Andrew Pindar. And Dr. Mac, I think we just call him, everybody calls him Mr. Doctor now, at least those who know him here on the show. Okay, Julia, the America's Cup. And I hope the gentleman who left that long comment, whom I don't know, Sean Caracca, I hope he is still on here to hear this segment and the thoughts of others, because this is our AC38 Cup date, and I'll pick up where we left off on Tuesday. We read this, but I'm going to read it again. American Magic confirms it will not participate. This we told you during the show, we had a one hears that this was about to be announced. Mac the Knife, Gordon Smith says, that's Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin, Mac the Knife.
Oh, yes.
American Magic confirms it will, cutting with a hot knife through butter, it will not participate in the 38th America's Cup. This was their statement from Tuesday. American Magic today confirmed it will not compete in the 38th edition of the America's Cup. The decision follows a comprehensive review of the event's current protocol and partnership agreement, and their alignment with their with the teams, with American Magic's long-term or non-alignment with the team's long-term sporting and strategic objectives. Quote, after extensive engagement with the defender, challenger of record, and fellow teams, we've concluded that the present structure does not provide the framework for American Magic to operate a highly competitive and financially sustainable campaign for the 38th America's Cup, said Doug DeVos, the team principal of American Magic. We care deeply about the America's Cup and what it represents. However, for a team committed to long-term excellence, alignment around financial viability and competitive performance is essential. At this time, we don't believe those conditions are in place for American Magic to challenge. The statement went on, while American Magic will not take part in the next edition, the team remains fully committed to its founding purpose, building a high-performance American sailing platform that competes and wins on the global stage. Our focus now shifts to the future, said Mike Kaiser, the CEO of American Magic. That means athlete and technology development, international competition, and continuing to drive advanced manufacturing and design innovation from our base in Pensacola, Florida. Founded in 2017, American Magic has represented the New York Yacht Club in 2 America's Cup campaigns and supports elite American sailors across senior, youth, and women's disciplines. The team will continue to invest in the sport through its Pensacola-based high-performance center and international racing campaigns, including programs that support U.S. Olympic sailors. These efforts reinforce Pensacola's role as a hub for top-tier American sailing talent. They've got to keep, they have that base down there, and
right.
they've made a big commitment to Pensacola in terms of a lot of jobs in return for Pensacola putting money into building that facility.
And they need that space anyway.
Well, exactly. To our teammates, partners, donors, and supporters, thank you for standing with us. That was a quote from Terry Hutchinson, who continues as president of Sailing Operations. Quote, we could never have accomplished what we have without you. You are a vital part of who we are. And I will endeavor in due course to get Terry T. Hutch on the show, if not Mr. DeVos himself. I don't know Doug well, but I used to work for his father, Rich DeVos, who was chairman of the America II Syndicate when I was executive director back in the 80s. So I do know the DeVos family, another Michigan family, of course.
Oh, good heavens.
Over on the west side of the state.
Yeah.
Look at this. Julie Ahrens is in.
Yes.
Julie Ahrens is in the house. Welcome back, Julie. She's had some health issues and she got frustrated with some of the things we were talking about, but it's nice to have her back.
It is.
Even if we don't always agree. Tom, the gentleman, isn't totally wrong. That's the gentleman whose comment I read earlier. You seem to hate change. No, I don't hate change. I don't hate change. I just like to be reasonable and rational about change. The AC is a living, dynamic event. Well, it is, and that's why the ACP is all bad and wrong, Julie, because it's going to try to tie it down and stop it from being the living, dynamic event that it is and should be and always has been. If you want it to change, quit whining and win it on the water. Well, okay. I'm not going to read the rest of her comment, but all of you who are watching can. And she is a big fan of Grant Dalton's and continues to be, so great.
Yes.
Thank you and welcome back, Julie. We appreciate your views as well. Tom Pace, past Commodore of Pensacola Yacht Club down in Florida. Many very solid things in progress. This is an exciting time for us in Pensacola, exclamation point. Doug DeVos, Hap Fouth, Mike Terry, and Tyson Lamond have been exceptional, and the future for all programs here is bright. Okay, good. I have been asking if I sign the ACP and win, am I bound to it, Steve Grover? Good point, Steve. Ed Worley pointing out the actions of the defender that stacked the deck against any challenger is not whining, coming to my defense. Thank you.
Yes.
Ed Worley, a.k.a. Tracker. We are just telling the truth. Well, everybody thinks they're telling their own truth. I accept Julie's point of view and the gentleman who weighed in. But, I think we're just trying to use some common sense and apply it to the Cup. Now, do you think that the America's Cup 38th website has reported American Magic's position, Julie?
Not that I've seen.
No, you're correct. There is the website, a screen grab there from a couple hours ago. The latest news is announcing the ACP on the 15th of October, so no news. Now, some would say, well, you couldn't expect them to announce the withdrawal of a team that hasn't even entered, which is, okay, fair enough. But when
Yes.
you have a team that's been in the Cup or a club, which has been in the Cup for a long time on and off, and of course started the whole thing back in 1870, after the Royal Yacht Squadron and New York had the race around the Isle of Wight back in 1851. But you would think that they might have said something, even in passing, but no, nothing at all on the AC38 site. Now, Richard Gladwell, who, like us, Julia, we are not paid to play media. We are viewer-supported media. Those of you who give us a few bucks a month,
Right.
some of you give us a lot of money per month, or at least from my standpoint, a lot of money to help keep us here in equipment and streaming fees and so on. We don't have sponsors per se. Every now and then we'll have a Fosey that'll give us some bourbon cream, or we like to celebrate him, but it's not like we are paid to have a certain position. Likewise, Richard Gladwell at Sail World is the other, I think. He has sponsors, they have advertisers, but he says what he means and means what he says, as he did in this piece a couple days ago. America's Cup field thins before Friday's deadline. 2 teams are likely no-shows. And this is what our Fosey Richard had to say, and he and I are talking daily, comparing notes. The decision by American Magic to not enter the America's Cup would seem to put the likely entries at the lower end of the expected challenger numbers. In an America's Cup media conference in mid-October, Athena Racing's CEO Ben Ainsley predicted, quote, "I think it's going to be anywhere between 4 to 7 teams. That is the reality," unquote. Including the defender, added Grant Dalton, who was sitting with him when Richard interviewed them at the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. The initial entry close date is not until today, Friday the 31st. Late entries close 3 months later without a significant penalty. We'll talk about that in a moment. As part, because that's not, strictly speaking, not true.
Right.
As part of the submission of their notice of challenge to enter the America's Cup, Richard writes, all teams must sign off a term sheet agreeing to the key points of the America's Cup partnership agreement. Julia, I'm going to read the last paragraph of his article, too, because I think it's significant. Entries close for the 2027 America's Cup on Friday, today. It is not expected that the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron will make any announcements regarding the number of challenges received or the specific teams, which is fair enough. Instead, it will be up to the individual teams to make the announcement, accompanied by their own PR hoopla, which is the way I did it when I ran the Cup in San Diego, and also the way we did it at Golden Gate Yacht Club. Let the teams make their announcements, even though they file their papers on time and pays their ticky and money. The following day, the America's Cup partnership, meaning tomorrow, November 1st, the ACP takes over running the 38th America's Cup. Yeah, right. And Associated Regattas, succeeding Emirates Team New Zealand's event arm, America's Cup Events ACE Limited, which ran the 2021 and 2024 Cups. A new CEO of ACP will be announced, taking over from Grant Dalton, who has held the role for the last 2 Cups. From November 1st, from tomorrow, the America's Cup events will be managed by the America's Cup Partnership Board, comprising 1 member from each team, or so Richard Gladwell wrote in his Sail World column on Wednesday, I guess that was 2 days ago. So entries were closed yesterday, Friday, New Zealand time, and there, of course, is Hamish Ross when he got his, I don't know if it's called a Juris Doctorate.
Yeah, I think
in
so.
New Zealand, his doctor's degree. But I love this picture. I'm not sure he loves it, but
I do. I like it. He has that great grin.
He does indeed.
I did it.
And the robes and the hat that is traditional when they do get their doctorates. And Hamish has written a piece on his Facebook page that just today, appeared today, and I'm going to read it because I think it is, so you all can see what perhaps the opposite viewpoint of the 2 that I've read up here in the chat already from Hamish Ross on his Facebook page today. Hamish, another super Fozy, has been on this show any number of times. He entitled it "The Albatross?" ? An opinion. The looming absence of an American team at the 38th America's Cup marks a significant and sobering milestone. While a slim chance still exists for a new American challenge to emerge, fat chance, exactly, the reality appears grim. This could be the first time in history that the nation which created the Cup, the world's first perpetual international sporting trophy, does not field a competitor. This development is not a reflection of American sailing's decline, but rather a symptom of deeper issues embedded in the current management and governance of the event, the America's Cup.
Mm-hmm.
If America sees little hope of victory, what message does that send to the rest of the world? The 38th America's Cup has devolved, Hamish asserts, into a spectacle where the defender seems poised for effortless victory, leaving challengers disillusioned by the insurmountable barriers to genuine competition. Constraints on boat development, the renationalization of vessels through cosmetic modifications, exorbitant entry fees, and technological disparities have created a disparity so vast that few can realistically bridge it. The advent of battery-powered, computer-assisted, and AI-aided sailboats edging toward automation and near crewless vessels further distorts the traditional spirit of the race. Tokenistic rules and oversimplified restrictions have only exacerbated these issues, eroding the Cup's integrity and diminishing its appeal. It is no surprise, Hamish says, that teams and nations are withdrawing, recognizing that the format is skewed towards entrenching the defender's advantage. Once a celebration of innovation, competition, and international camaraderie, the America's Cup risks becoming nothing more than an overpriced, hollow spectacle, distanced from its roots and its dedicated fan base. At what point does gerrymandering, talked about that on the previous show, turn into old-fashioned cheating? Hamish says. Historically, the Cup was proudly called New Zealand's Cup, thanks to Peter Montgomery, on 2 victorious occasions. Today, irony and disappointment overshadow that legacy, with the event becoming more of an embarrassment than a showcase of sailing excellence. The Cup now hangs Coleridge-like around New Zealand's neck, not because of their failure, but because of the few appropriately cloaked in black, whose actions have tarnished, and he's referring to Team New Zealand, whose actions have tarnished its and the event's reputation. They need to do New Zealand and the sport a favor and stop sequestering the nation's name to their activities. They lost the country when the promise of local defenses was sold off to the highest bidder. The solution must be reform. A concerted effort is needed to restore the America's Cup to its former glory. This includes establishing an independent, transparent trustee free from current management's influence and dismantling restrictive protocols that prioritize private profits, using the public property over the sport's integrity. The focus should shift back to a core, accessible sailing competition, embracing a recognized, accessible class of yachts that attract the world's best sailors. Such a revival would foster increased international participation, enthusiasm, and genuine competition based on skill, seaworthiness, and strategic acumen, rather than technological gimmickry. Ultimately, the future of the America's Cup depends on a return to its foundational principles. High-level competition, open to the world's best sailors, raced at sea level, on real yachts with real strategy, passion, and challenge. Only then can the Cup regain its stature and relevance, inspiring a new generation of sailors and fans. It will come one day. Let us hope that the lamps will once again be lit in our lifetime, illuminating a path toward a revived and authentic America's Cup. That's writing today on his Facebook page. Hamish Ross, the America's Cup historian, deed of gift expert, on his Facebook page. Thank you, Hamish, for letting me run that and read that. Mr. J.K.M. Henry, who is a nephew of John Marshall. J.K.M. Henry, John Marshall's, I believe, nephew. Well said, Mr. Ross. Bravo, Hamish. That's Tracker. That's Ed Worley. Gordon Smith, Hamish, really? New York Yacht Club held the cup for how long? And more importantly, exactly how? From this perspective, absolutely nothing has changed in more than 100 years. He doesn't agree, Gordon Smith. He is contrary-minded, as the late, great Commodore Julia, late, great Commodore Harry Anderson might have said. Great insight, Hamish. Alan Long agrees. Well written, Hamish. Clark Chapin agrees. The tie doesn't go well with the gown, and as we all know, the accessories make the outfit. Clark Chapin, nice hat. So will Ben be the CEO of the ACP, Ed Worley is asking. And Ken Saban is back from the western end of Lake Erie. Good, okay. So there are some early comments to what Hamish was saying today on his Facebook page, Julie. And I have some one-here's.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, entries didn't close today, Friday, in New Zealand. Okay. They are so mucked up. They are so beside themselves. And I hear this from multiple sources, close in to the RNZ, close in to the Italians, close in to Sir Ben. So I'm hearing from those three sources. They have extended the deadline until at least next Wednesday. No one has challenged yet, not even the Italians, or so one hears. Or if they have, they filed paperwork but no money. Likewise, the French maybe filed paperwork but no money. Everybody's waiting to see what happens. Because the other thing that has happened is that now that SNG, Société Nautique Genève, the representative club of Alinghi, and New York Yacht Club has been quiet. They haven't said peep. Claire Harrington, who's a FOSI, Vice Commodore of New York, has not said peep. And all we have is the statement from the team. But now that those two teams are feeling disenfranchised by and because of ACP, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and Mr. Dalton and their challenger of record, the Royal Yacht Squadron, have opened the door now for legal challenges in the courts of New York, given them standing, essentially, because they're disenfranchised, they say, from the cup. Cue the crickets, Clark Chapin is saying. Well, maybe. So things are in abeyance. You're not going to hear any announcement about teams until at least sometime after Wednesday. But, it's an exorbitant fee. And contrary to what Richard Gladwell said in his piece, he said, well, there's a late entry period up till, January 1st or January 31st, something. Excuse me. If you don't join up, you pay a penalty, but you also don't get a seat on this so-called America's Cup Partnership Board. Okay, let's read Tom Pace's comment respectfully. Everyone on here is respectful. Even the comments from Julie Aarons and the other gentlemen were respectful. The America's Cup has always attracted real sailors that are tactically and physically some of the best in any given era. The ones on the water this past cycle are all as good as we have today. This has always been a technological design competition, and any notion to put design Pandoras back in boxes of an old favorite sailing yacht design will face unending challenges. Tom Pace, I'm not quite sure what you mean by all that, Tom, but the fact remains that the boats are now battery operated, and as bad as the last cup was, Commodore Pace, this next cup promises to, we all called it whack-a-moles. I didn't. One of you, Fozy, came up with that. And it's just a disappointment. Ed Worley says, the fact that New York Yacht Club has not signed the protocol and the ACP keeps their powder dry for future actions. Steve Gruber, this is the best kind of AC. I smell a dog, some deed of gift match somewhere. I'm not so sure about that. Get the barristers warmed up. Oh boy, here we go again. John C. Spangos is saying. Phil Yeomans, so no challenge, and it goes into limbo. I just don't know what Mr. Dalton's going to do, because remember now he's got this politician, and two or three of them have popped up in Italy lately saying, oh, don't worry, there's still going to be an American team. We hear, because they're playing to their local people. I mean, you think that President Xi of China was playing to his audience and Donald Trump was playing to his hometown audience after their meeting in the last couple of days. Everybody plays to their hometown audience, Julia, except you and I. We don't play to anybody.
Not yet.
And we respect anyone who's got a respectful opinion. Fritz
Yes.
Mueller, likewise, says Dalton does not own the physical cup. If he goes away, someone else will take up the charge. That's not the problem. The trustee, as we have said repeatedly, is the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, not Mr. Dalton. They have delegated their trusteeship, which is against New York law, it's against the deed of gift, to Mr. Dalton. And Mr. Dalton is using the cup to try to squeeze money out of the system, whether it's the venue fees, the sponsorship fees, the television fees, the entry fees, exorbitant entry fees, highest ever by far, to fund his own campaign. That has never happened. That has never happened. I gave a plan here the other day, a 6-point plan on how to proceed in the future for the cup, and I still stand by that plan. And I salute Hamish for his views. Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, you've turned this thing upside down. I'm not going to flip your slide. I'm just not going to do it. And these four gentlemen, the Commodores of the Royal Yacht Squadron and the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, and of course Sir Ben and Grant Dalton, have made a complete mess, an utter and horrific mess of this. It is going down the gurgler. They're not going to have any teams. They have been strong-arming. They've been arm-twisting SNG and New York Yacht Club and continue to do so. They are desperate for entries. And I've got a whole nother long page of notes here, which I'm not going to read, from sources checking in with people in the last X many days. But they are desperate for entries.
Well,
because without any entries, they're going to have a big give back to Naples. And that's the way, that's the way it works. You do a venue deal or a television deal, and you guarantee so many teams. And if you don't reach that guaranteed number, then you go back, use your switch.
Right.
Thank you. If you go back and you give some give backs, you give some money back. Clark Chapin says, you'd think that the RNZ Commodore would be merely holding the pen while Grant moves the paper on the table. Oh, my goodness. Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron went broke. They caved into Dalton to carry the, well, that's true, too. They've got financial problems of their own. Follow the money. You always do. So to this gang, and particularly to Mr. Dalton, who, again, have just, this is absurd. This America's Cup partnership is absolutely contrary to the deed of gift. Mr. Dalton is trying to turn the America's Cup into Sail GP. It will never be that. It will never be successful. It will never work. And even if they can do it for this AC38 cycle somehow, have some coordinated group of the so-called America's Cup partnership, if somebody else wins it, they will never, ever be obligated to continue that partnership, even though they sign papers, because the deed of gift and New York state law is clear. You cannot constrain a future trustee by anything that's gone on in the past. Baton Rouge is saying it is possible by a legal challenge the New York Yacht Club saves the cup from the courtroom and not the water. And Gordon Smith is quite right. New Zealand only needs one entry to make a match. But, of course, Mr. Dalton's one entry, the Royal Yacht Squadron, 2 times in a row now, is the challenger of record. Sir Ben, apparently, despite his protestations to the contrary, does not have a boat. Is he going to buy American Magic and chop the bow off, which Hamish made an oblique reference to, chop the bow off to make the American Magic CIC compliant, meaning constructed in country? All you have to do now is either take an old boat, cut off the bow, put a new bow on, and it becomes a British boat, as long as you did that work in the UK. Or you can take plans to an old boat from AC37 and build a new boat to those plans. I mean, what an abomination. What an absurdity, Julia, that this cup has become. And battery operated. In fact,
I know
human power is prohibited. You must use the battery power, and the batteries apparently being provided by the Defender. This whole thing has gone way
Yes.
off the tracks.
And then
And
who's,
if it's not correct. Okay, enough. Now, they got one other problem, and I'm not going to go into this, Julia, but it's posted on my Facebook page to take place. They're going to have, Naples is going to blow up again. It did, a long time ago. It's going to blow up again. Now, that if it happens
you don't win.
in the next 10 minutes, Julia,
Yes.
or if it happens in the next 10,000 years,
Yes.
we don't know. Just like the big one that's going to hit here, either on the Hayworth Fault or the San Andreas Fault. We're going to
Right.
have a quake here
Yes.
in the Bay Area because we haven't had one now since Lee DeVoe said, yeah, perhaps.
Mhm.
But it's not a good event. When you take design competition out of it, when you take the defenders and the Challenger of Records rights out of it and try to mush them all together into this mush called America's Cup Partnership, it's a madness.
Mhm.
It's a complete and utter madness. Okay, well, that is on my Facebook page about Napoli's Ring of Fire, and there were a lot of jokes about Ring of Fire, Julia, and spicy Mexican food and Indian curry, too spicy curry for some of us, and that's how you get a Ring of Fire. Do you want to give a finger wag for that? I didn't come up with that. A Ring of Fire, Julie. That's what this whole America's Cup, that is a good metaphor, a good allegory for this whole America's Cup. It's become one big ring of fire.
On the other hand, there are lots of people who just think Naples is wonderful.
Well, Naples is wonderful. We had two great pre-America's Cup regattas.
Yeah, right.
Mark Wharton reads, and Mark, Naples is wonderful, Ted Ryman says, tongue in cheek. So was Pompeii. Oh, man, what a mess. Now, on a lighter note, we have, for the first time in a while, we've had one in the can, Julia.
Yeah, right.
But this is a new one, specially for today, especially for Halloween.
Okay.
Courtesy of Ed Worley, his America's Cup Challenge, and he's asking.
I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
It's called the Red Devil.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I like him.
Okay, so throughout the Cup's history, Ed asks, let me click on them, get that bigger. There have been a number of nicknames, some flattering and some not so, that have entered the AC lexicon. Apropos today's Halloween holiday, who or what in the Cup was nicknamed the Red Devil?
Mm-hmm.
Was it super crewman Rod Stevens, brother of Olin and winner of multiple cups as a crew, for his customary Breton red pants?
Well.
And I might add, in rigging expertise.
Mm-hmm.
B, was it the 1974 New York Yacht Club Defender candidate Mariner for the color of her hull and the inability to win races?
Mm-hmm.
C, Steve Gruber's already answering without even seeing all the options. C, the 1992 Challenger from New Zealand, NZL 20, because of that IACC yacht's red hull and radically small design, the Red Devil.
Mm-hmm.
Or D, two-time winning skipper Jimmy Spithill for his red hair and fiery press conference tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
And E, because I always throw it in, all of the above.
Could well be.
Jody Shields says, I'm sure there is a Red Devil somewhere in our wardrobe. J. Frederick Bland, who's also doing well, coming through his challenges. It's the nickname of the chemotherapy drug doxorubicin, an intravenous injection known for its bright red color and potent side effects. It's used to treat a variety of cancers, including breast cancer, lymphoma, leukemia, and ovarian cancer, and he's going through it. Maybe he's had some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Bannerl thinks it's B, Mariner. Dogzilla Monster, a.k.a. Stingray, up in Seattle, thinks it's Spithill. So does Dolly DeVola. Gordon thinks it's D. Warren Chaucer, Ted Ryman, they all think it's Spithill. Anybody else before we give you the answer? Anybody else before we give you the answer? Going once. Julia, what do you think?
I've heard about Spithill for his red hair.
Julia, take a decision. A, B, C, D, or E?
I don't know.
Okay. You don't know? I don't know. Nobody knows. Claire Harrington, there's the Commodore.
There we go.
Thierry de Jong thinks it was Blake's socks. Not Blake Middleton either.
No.
Okay, you want the answer?
Yes, indeed.
Most everybody thinks it's Spithill. Nobody got it right, including B was not the right answer either. Jody Shields says E. Nope, sorry. Chris Exley's taking a flyer and saying E. There's a hint.
Oh.
That is Roderick Stevens.
Stevens.
I didn't include a none of the above. Rod Stevens, Olin's brother and winning crewman of multiple cups in the J class and in the 12-meter eras. Rod Stevens was nicknamed the Red Devil by Harold Commodore, although he was never a Commodore in New York, Harold Vanderbilt during the 1937 AC defense campaign of Ranger because of his tireless energy and the customary Breton red color of his pants.
Mm-hmm.
Rod was the rover on the yacht, responsible for the rig, and he'd climb up the rig, probably like a little red devil too, and very well. And he was responsible for the rig and organizing and coordinating the crew during sail changes. The Little Red Devil, and that is the answer. So it was A. It was the first one. Thank you to Ed Worley for his America's Cup History Challenge today on Halloween. The Red Devil. Jody Shields says, I meant A. I meant A. Okay, that was a good one, eh?
Yes, it was.
Usually people get it, or at least some number of people get it. Okay, trick or treat. Trick or treat. Julia, here's one for you.
Okay.
What happened on this day in history? In 1938, it's actually yesterday, the 30th of October, yesterday, this day in history, the 30th of October, 1938. Here's your first clue.
The War of the Worlds.
Well done. You know who that gentleman is?
Yes.
Who?
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles. He wrote it, produced it, USA. Well, he didn't write the original one, but he was alive from 1915 until all the way up until 1985. And they performed that live on the radio on CBS. And millions listened to it, and it scared the bejesus out of people. Radio, this is the New York Times, obviously. Radio listeners in panic.
Yeah.
This was on the next day, on the 31st of October. Taking war drama as fact. Many fled their homes. Gas raid from Mars. You were not quite alive then. You were born in 39, right?
Right.
So you won't remember that.
Oh, of course I would.
Here's the video.
Was one of the most memorable events to occur in the 1930s. What happened during this broadcast? Who perpetrated this stunt? On October 30th, 1938, the Mercury Theater Radio Group aired a dramatic radio presentation of the classic H.G. Wells novel, The War of the Worlds. The novel conveys the story of an alien invasion of Earth. The group conducting the broadcast presented the story in a modern setting and changed the stage to New York and New Jersey, whereas the original novel had taken place in England. The story was presented in real time, as if the events were actually taking place. Regular music programming was periodically interrupted with special bulletins, which informed the listeners of the latest news regarding the alien invasion. Many people heard these reports and believed the invasion was really happening. At the beginning of the broadcast, there was an announcement stating that the program was a radio drama. Unfortunately, many people missed this announcement. Thousands of listeners called the police. Some went outside and convinced themselves that they could see flashes of light in the distance as the battle ensued. Others were certain that they could smell poisonous gases being fired by one side or the other. There were incidents of hysteria all across the country. Many people rushed into the streets with shotguns and rifles, ready to battle the unknown alien enemy. Others fled to the hills, trying to escape the cities. The situation was made increasingly worse because the broadcasters were using real place names. For example, the initial alien landing was supposed to have taken place at Grover's Mill. Crowds of people arrived at this location with guns and other weapons. As a result, the police and fire departments were forced to go there and manage the crowds. Bystanders who saw the mass of armed citizens, police, and firemen had no choice but to believe that the rumors of alien invasion were true. It has been estimated that approximately 6 million people listened to the broadcast, and, of those, up to 1 million may have believed the events were actually happening.
Okay, this video goes on for some time.
Yes.
I did not know it was that big a deal that many, those many millions of people were
Right.
taken in. I knew that, a fair few people were.
Yeah.
But, the cool thing is, as there's a lot of, as usual, from the Fosey, great comments. Steve Gruber, I think, has, for me at least, the most interesting comment. I, having grown up in radio, television, film, broadcast in high school and college,
Mm-hmm.
I saw a documentary, he says, about the broadcast. Incredible innovation in analog sound effects. And you saw those pictures of the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they had a cast of 100 people just doing, maybe not all of them doing sound effects, but it was astonishingly well done.
Mm-hmm.
And they could make anything out of anything using common, almost household items to make it
Yes.
sound like,
Mm-hmm.
gosh darn, it was
Mm-hmm.
amazingly well done. Maybe we need to do that, Julie. We need to have a Sailing Illustrated April Fool's Day radio show. So we get somebody to write it, and we scare the bejesus out of people for about 5 minutes before they realize that we're joking.
Yes.
A fake breaking news broadcast here live on Sailing Illustrated, like the War of the Worlds in 1938.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday in history, what is that, 87 years ago? It is. It's 87, if my math is correct.
Mm-hmm.
War of the Worlds. Halloween, Julia.
Yes.
And that gets us after, we're an hour and 33 minutes into this show, and that gets us to the last leg. And I've got multiple last legs today. The winner of the week, the loser of the week. And we'll start with the winners of the week. The ILCA,
Mm-hmm.
which some of us still call, or like to call, the laser class. Not only is this lawsuit look like it's helping the class because now we can have a down under builder again. Presumably that'll get sorted out one way or another. Maybe they'll come to a settlement if the court forces it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a video. In the process of researching that, I found this video from their Masters where they had all, remember we covered that. We covered the Masters where Emmett was there and he won.
Right. You're
You'll
right.
see him in this video now.
Yeah.
And also, we had several other sailors there, friends of ours, Fosey, who were there, including Dolly DeVola, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not Dolly DeVola, sorry, Peter Stevenson. Yeah, Peter Stevenson. But these are clearly the winners of the week, the ILCA class. And this video just cements what a fabulous sport we have, how much fun it is to sail, and how much fun it is to join your friends from around the world on shore before and after the racing. Have a look.
Ilka is a very unique class. We have a very wide range of sailors, starting from Ilka 4 kids and ending up with Ilka Masters. And this special event, the specific event here in Formia, is really special because we have 455 sailors, 38 countries came over here from all around the world.
It's amazing to have a lot of sailors coming from different countries because they are coming from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, all people. It's amazing. And to have a lot of countries here and to such an event, to a World Championship, it's huge. And it's going to be an international place, an international event with a master class. And I think it's one of the most important events with such sailors coming from here.
Allora, il flusso di persone che è arrivato nel nostro golfo, a Formia in particolare, con questo mondiale ci ha dato un'enorme visibilità, ha portato sul territorio sicuramente un indotto economico importantissimo e soprattutto ha dato lustro al nostro circolo, che è il circolo più anziano della provincia di Latina.
The magic of this class is that you're coming together, you're enjoying your life, you're enjoying racing, and you can do it for your life.
Watch for John. There he is. Now, was that a video?
Yes.
The winners of the week, the ILCA class, for that video alone, but also for that apparent progress, if not settlement, down under. And the loser, the crouton, the loser of the week, who, you know, he was president. He was the honorary president of Royal Thames Yacht Club when I took the cup there 10, 12 years ago to do a presentation. We had a big dinner, and I did a private audience with him ahead of time with the cup, explaining what was going on and leading up to 2013. So I guess it was more than 12 years ago. The loser, he's been stripped of his title, as you know, and as some of the Andrews have said, yeah, it's Andrew. He's now called Andrew Windsor, formerly Prince. Remember the rock guy in Minnesota?
Oh, yeah.
The late great Prince, who just took a symbol as his name everyone called him formerly Prince.
Yeah.
But this, I go back, take the lower third away. This from Hamish Ross. Under 18s welcome at the Duke of York. So he's been stripped of his titles and his residence, apparently by his brother, and apparently also by his nephew, because I think the incoming king has had a lot to do with that. So I read and hear. Mr. Andrew Windsor, the loser of the week, and well-deserved at that. Finally, we got another last leg here. This from John Rogers down in San Diego. Do you recognize that? That's the, can't remember, I lived in that apartment. In fact, right up there on that front, we had a, when Meg, Leslie, and I were there for the 95 Cup, I took an apartment right up there on the top floor for 3 or 4 months looking, that's the apartment building, La Rondelet. I just remembered it looks toward not only Shelter Island, but it looks across to downtown San Diego, a fabulous spot. And John Rogers, who's the head coach at San Diego Yacht Club, submitted this video, it's a very brief one, about their Halloween activities yesterday, their last day of their fall sailing program. And he says, foggy final fall program class for our beginner and intermediate Sabbat class. They do a great job at San Diego Yacht Club, Bravo Zulu. Paired up a beginner with an intermediate, earning treats for performing checklist skills at each buoy in La Playa Cove. They're right next to the yacht club. Skills like answering what tack they are on, demonstrating proper hand switches on tacks and jibes between the tiller and the main sheet, ability to maneuver to a specific point of sail on command, sitting on the rail, etc. Extra treat if you found a mini floating pumpkin. What a creative thing to do. Isn't that cool?
Absolutely.
And here's just a quick video with no audio from that exercise. Well, there's some audio, some sound on tape, as they say. No voiceover. Of the Sabbats in La Playa Cove with the fog coming in from the southwest. That is Point Loma out to the tip and out to the Pacific Ocean, courtesy of Coach John Rogers at the San Diego Yacht Club, as our concluding last leg video for the day.
Is that John Rogers?
That's John Rogers. That picture.
He looks a little bit like Malin.
Malin Burnham?
Yeah.
Well, he's standing in front of the Malin Burnham Sailing Center, but that's coincidental. That is John Rogers, Coach John Rogers, originally from Coronado. And that gets us, Julia, to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. You like this? And since we are a drinking show with a sailing habit, we haven't done one of these in a long time. No drinking, Julia. Not that you drank hardly at all much at all these days, but
I
no
know.
drinking before 5.
Yep.
There's a
Or
clock.
after.
There's a clock from Peter Taylor.
Mhm.
And as we go here in the Northern Hemisphere into our fall and starting to feel a little bit wintry here in San Francisco as the days are short and shorter, let's have a moment of silence for all of those forced to
Winterize.
their boats,
Yes.
which is one of the great advantages to being down in San Diego or in Newport Beach, down in SoCal or Florida, because they sail year round. And that's got to be one of the reasons why so many good sailors come out of Florida,
Yeah.
Texas even, and
hmm
SoCal. That's from Peter Taylor. Peter submitted a number of these. And apropos the holiday, Julia, no thanks. Do you know how much sugar is in those things? The witches don't want to sacrifice the kid. He's full of sugar.
Yeah.
I thought that was really clever. Peter Taylor sent that apropos Halloween. And of course, from Blake Middleton, his salute, our salute to him. Also struggling with his MS. We keep
Yeah.
hoping Blake keeps on keeping on here. All the smartest people sail. And thanks, John Rogers is in the chat. Thank you, sir, for showing your little class in any time compared to he's very pleased that you compared him to Malin Burnham. What a true compliment. Indeed. John Rogers, Coach John Rogers, superb sailor and superb coach. Thanks, Blake Middleton, for that. Julia gets us to the finish line, and you like to say,
Oh, yes. Don't miss this opportunity to like and follow and share.
indeed. And we also remind everybody that we leave the comments they're welcome. We leave them open, even in replay. And even when you get people vehemently disagreeing with some of our assertions or assertions in the chat, everyone is respectful. There's no coarse language.
Right.
There's no name calling. There's no personal attacks, for which we are deeply appreciative.
Yes,
It's nice to see Julie Aaron's back, in fact.
it is.
Sailing Illustrated is brought to you by those of you watching. It's viewer-supported media, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. If you want to make a contribution to help keep us on the air, to keep our equipment up to date, to keep our streaming fees paid, that's all we use your contributions for. We don't use them for buying. Well, I don't drink. You don't drink much. And if you do, it's your booze upstairs in the Commodore's suite.
Yeah.
That's what we do with your money, those of you who do contribute, and we appreciate it very much. Deeply appreciate it. Thanks also to those who gave us audio, images, and videos for today's show. And a reminder that next Tuesday, we'll have K.R. Deeney on. Paul, who was inducted into the America's Cup Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago yesterday at the New York Yacht Club at 44th Street. He will be live on Sailing Illustrated next Tuesday, the 4th, as our guest live via Zoom. And a reminder that we will fall back onto standard time this weekend. So next Tuesday, we're still going live at 1300. I tried, you remember a couple of years ago, to do it at noon, 1200, to keep it on the same time zone for those of you at least didn't. But it's too hard. I need every hour in the morning before we go live.
Yeah.
And the reason we do it, a lot of you, why do we do it at 1300? Because you're still awake in Europe, and they're awake the next morning in both Australia and New Zealand, at least in Eastern Australia. So we appreciate your support from around the world. We hope this time works for you, but we will stay on.
And you can see it anyway, anytime.
Well, exactly, Julia. You can watch it in replay, of course. But people like to come on live, as John
do
Emmett
too.
says.
Absolutely, I
like
do
to come
too.
on live because you can do the chat and enjoy the chat.
Right.
And I just want to go back to one comment John made, in fact. Gordon Smith says it would be great to get Graham back. Now that Julie Aarons is back, will somebody call Graham up and see if you can get him back? I totally agree. I would have loved to have had him on today for that whole stuff about the Gaelic stuff at the Shawan at the top of the show and so on, because he's so much fun. Jody hasn't said testicles recently, I know. Gordon is also saying, but I just go back to John Emmett's comment up there above saying we shouldn't, and I totally agree with him. As you all know, he's saying, do not change the sport, change the media. We need, John said, way up, it's off the top of that, we need better media, not to change the racing formats. Exactly. You do what's right and interesting for the sailors. Keep the racing interesting. Keep the racing good. And then adapt the media coverage in a way that makes sense.
Yes.
See you next Tuesday at 1300 Standard, Pacific Standard Time. And we hope in the meantime you have a great weekend wherever in the world you are. And go sailing, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you, and ciao for now.